There's a lot of people around the world scared of this. This is raw milk. Milk straight from the teat, unpasteurized, just pure, fresh from the source. Some people would say that this is potentially poison, that if I gave this to my kids, it would kill them, could kill them. Let's talk about why you think that and why that's not necessarily true. I'm Ben, and this is Nicole.
Food is medicine.
Since 2020, with no prior experience,
I even managed to kill corn.
we've been trying to grow all of the food for our family.
Look, they came in a fancy box.
But it's proved to be a little harder than we thought.
In 2021, this didn't exist. This was dead.
Join us as we struggle to raise animals, grow veggies
That's okay because we have no cabbage, so we're not making cabbage soup anyway, so what do we need carrots for?
on this farming and homesteading adventure. Over the past few years, there's been a lot of interest, not only in raw milk, in just good food in general. People want to know where their food comes from. It's why we are trying to grow as much food as we can. It's why small farming, regenerative agriculture, market gardening, and homesteading has really popped off over the last few years. I think COVID was a huge impetus for people wanting to know where their food comes from. And there's study after study. I mean, we were the generation that grew up with Supersize Me, the movie, the documentary about McDonald's, eating McDonald's every day, and how that's an issue, and Food Inc. And there's so many documentaries and so many films that have come out over the last 20 years that talk about food and how bad it is for us. So our generation, my generation, has been searching for an answer. And in doing so, we have discovered that the best food for you is low to no processed. So raw milk would be one of those things, but people are scared of. There has been reports, and yes, that we came up with pasteurization for a reason. However, the less that we can touch food, the less hands that get involved in it, the better, for the most part. And that goes for raw milk too. We can talk about other things. We can talk about meat. We can talk about veg and fruit. But specifically for right now, let's talk about raw milk. So raw milk has been shown. There's a lot of studies that have come out recently, especially since 2020, that have talked about the benefits of raw milk. Raw milk is good for you. There's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of stuff out there saying that you need to pasteurize milk. Otherwise, it will kill you. It will make you sick. And yes, that has happened before. However, you need to recognize that, again, as more hands get in the loop, as more things happen, as more processed, that would become a processed food, then it's not a raw food. As more things change, it becomes an issue. That's not to say that it hasn't been an issue in the past. Again, that's why pasteurization does exist. But there are modern safety measures and modern practices, especially in other countries, not here in Canada and the US, really. Canada, raw milk is like strictly illegal unless it's your animal. On your farm, you cannot share the raw milk and the raw milk products. Part of that is the milk lobby has a monopoly, like a mafia, but part of that is for safety measures too. But raw milk, there has been studies that have come out over the last number of years that have shown that raw milk consumption lowers the risk of asthma, of hay fever, of eczema, and early life consumption reduces respiratory infections by approximately 30%. When I read those articles, I was really surprised to see how raw milk, and people will say that there's no difference between raw milk and pasteurized or processed milk, which is just simply not true. Because I don't think we recognize the difference between. People think that killing bacteria is good, which it can be. However, our bodies live in symbiosis with a lot of different bacteria, a ton of different bacteria. Our gut microbiome, you probably recognize probiotics, your microbiome, your gut. It's only the last 15 to 20 years that we've started to discover that, like, hey, broad spectrum antibiotics aren't good for you. Like, it's bad if you take broad spectrum antibiotics because it kills your microbiome and then you have to build that back up. It sucks. Yes, they can help you, but it's not good for you long term. We're not just humans existing in this sort of flesh suit that we're not a machine. We don't just run on oil. Food isn't our oil. We have this symbiotic relationship with a lot of viruses and bacteria. And so raw milk being one of those things that you can consume that's full of probiotics, that when you pasteurize it, you are killing those things. You're killing denaturing enzymes. You are killing bacteria. It's been shown that is one of the reasons that why some people can actually process and drink raw milk as opposed to pasteurized milk, because raw milk has those enzymes, specifically lactase, that can actually help you break down the lactose or whatever you may be allergic to. And there seems to be a lot of argument that people will say that humans aren't meant to drink milk. Humans are, especially the vegan crowd, will jump down your throat about not meant to drink milk. You're not meant to eat meat. It's a product of some other animal. It's for baby cows and babies only. But the reality is that milk is a superfood. It has amazing potential to help you digestively. And it's been something that for the last, years and years and years has been a simple way to get a lot of nutrition to people. Because the majority of people, especially today, we don't get enough of our nutrition from our diet. We end up having to supplement. Like, how many people are on a daily vitamin or supplement? That's because you don't get it from your fruits and vegetables. You don't get enough of your nutrition from what you eat on a regular basis. So you need to get it from somewhere else. But if you were to get it from your diet, you wouldn't have to supplement. You wouldn't be low on iron. You wouldn't. And there are different biological reasons, maladies, disease that don't play in here. But if you eat a regular diet, a good diet, you shouldn't be low on any vitamins. You shouldn't need to supplement because you should be eating them all. You should be able to get it from your diet. So there have been programs that have been implemented. I mean, I know there was a case last year of a Amish farmer, I think, that got raided for his milk and meat.
Over the last 5 years, either the state or the federal government has at various times raided his farm, searched it, seized food related to it, tried to destroy food related to it that they found, and often tried to shut him down.
But in Germany, per my research here, there is a federally regulated program for raw milk that promotes high hygiene. They have monthly veterinary inspections and rigorous pathogen testing, and pathogen levels remain the same in the raw milk as they are to pasteurized milk. And they have stricter microbial benchmarks that were introduced in 2007. So there's going to be pathogen, and pathogen is just a bad bacterium, something that can make you sick. You likely have them on and in you already, but you don't want them to grow, right? Like at any given point, I think we have MRSA on your skin at any given point, but it's only an issue when it gets inside and when it starts to take over, when it grows, it's able to proliferate, that it becomes a problem. You don't want that, whether it's inside your food, right? You don't want a pathogen inside your food. And when it comes to raw milk, the only way, like raw milk itself is good for you. It's full of great bacteria. You leave milk, it's going to grow, turn into yogurt or cheese, unless it is contaminated by something. If that animal is sick, if that animal, which again would go back to the veterinary visits to make sure that animal is not sick, but then also making sure that the milk itself does not get contaminated. When you are milking it, we milk by hand. When we milk our goats, we milk them by hand. We make sure that the teats are clean. We make sure that the buckets that we use are cleaned every single day, multiple times a day, because we milk twice a day. And so you want to reduce the risk of pathogens getting in there. It's the same reason you wash your food. If you're growing with poop, basically, if you're growing with manure, you want to wash your food and not necessarily eat that directly from the garden, necessarily. But the only real contamination into a milk bucket or a milk pile is if your animal is sick, then it will come through the milk. Antibodies too, which it's a whole other story. That's why Mothers pass on immunity to their offspring because they have those antibodies that can pass them down. But then also sickness can be passed down too. But if you contaminate the milk, I got on a tangent there. If you contaminate the milk with poop, basically, the animals live in filth. Live in filth is a bad way to put it. Animals don't care as much about hygiene as humans do, so they end up with poop on them. It's just the reality of having animals. If you've raised chickens, if you've raised cows, animals are going to be covered in shit. Animals are going to have poop on them. So you want to make sure that when you are milking, I was at a dairy farm last week, they make sure that they clean the teats with iodine to make sure that they're cleaned. Make sure that the milking machine itself, they milk by machine, not by hand. They make sure that that is clean every single time after they're done milking. The lines are flushed and cleaned. And if an animal is sick, it's taken out of the line, milked separately, and then disposed of or used for something else. Mostly disposed of, as far as I know. But for us, because we milk by hand, we just need to make sure that no poop falls in. Sometimes they get poop on their belly, on their udder. Make sure that's all cleaned off, and then you can go ahead and clean. Or you can go ahead and milk. So in the U.S., they have the Raw Milk Institute.
In the United States of America today, the FDA considers one kind of raw milk, and that milk gets to be pasteurized. They failed to understand that there's another kind of raw milk for people. And that raw milk is very clean, done by conscientious farmers that are concerned about that raw milk going directly to people without being pasteurized. And that's an entirely different product. Entirely different product. The standards are different. The way it's done, the conditions, you just name it, it's different. And so that's the importance of the Raw Milk Institute, is to be able to show the difference between raw milk for the pasteurizer versus raw milk for the people.
As long as you are regulating it, which is weird that in Canada it's so highly illegal and not allowed unless it's yours, your animal. As long as there's regulation for it, there should be no reason that raw milk is vilified, because raw milk, again, because of these studies, are good for you. You shouldn't have to worry about pathogens like salmonella, listeria, like those are problems of contamination. Those aren't problems of the milk itself. Milk itself is definitely good for you, and we are seeing, like I said, through those studies, more and more raw milk is good. It has the potential to help you with your asthma. What to say there? With asthma. I lost my note. And so when you have the opportunity to eat real food, when you have the opportunity to eat food that is not processed, pasteurized, you are creating a better ecosystem. That's what we want to do here with our farm, is to create an ecosystem just in general for all of our plants and animals, so that we all work together, that the food we grow in the garden, if it goes bad that we can't eat it, it goes to our animals. The animals eat it, they poop, we put that into a pile to compost, that goes back to feed the garden. It's a circle of life, which hasn't been such for many farms now. They use synthetic fertilizers, they use pesticides. Like we're trying to, and it's easier small scale, it's easier said than done. It's easier small scale to be able to do that. But when it comes to raw milk, same thing. The only reason, I'm not saying that everybody should go out and only stop drinking pasteurized milk. Again, there are other issues. If you're lactose intolerant, whatever. I'm lactose intolerant. I can drink our milk. However, there is evidence to suggest that raw milk is better for you. If you're going to have milk, if you want to have cheese, Nicole makes a wicked cheese. If you want to have cheese and yogurt and you are worried about the stuff from the store, rightfully so, because of all the recalls, and look at the ingredients list. If it's more than just milk or fruit in your yogurt, there's a problem. Usually there's preservatives and stuff. And that just goes down, we could go down a whole other rabbit hole of how preservatives and different things that in those concentrations are allowable is not going to hurt you. I disagree. I think especially given how much we are if it's allowable in certain products and you have 5 or 10 of those products, well, then you're having 5 or 10 of that allowable amount, 5 or 10 times that allowable amount. So it doesn't there's no one size fits all for everybody's life, no one size fits all for everybody's routines and what they're capable of doing. So for us, we use a lot of milk. It's cheaper for us to keep a dairy animal. And so we keep our goats around. We love our goats. We love the milk that we get. We would love to get a cow to be able to produce more milk. But if you are searching, if you are trying to find and get real milk, raw milk, know your farmer. Whether you're in Canada, the United States, Germany, know your farmer. It is regulated in other places. Here in Canada, it's a black market. We don't sell it. We can't sell it. It can't leave our farm. But there are people that do, on the down low, people I know for a fact that will trade, barter, sell. Just don't tell anybody. And that's fine. I don't care. You do you. There's people that break the law all the time, especially stupid ones. So like, whatever. But know your farmer. There have been people that have messaged me angrily saying that like, oh, you're going to get somebody killed, or know where your food comes from, just in general. Not just the grocery store, but like know the farmer that you get your food from. Know like there's possible contamination. Yes, those pathogens can hurt you. Yes, pasteurization was brought in for a certain reason. However, if you are looking for these products, know that you can trust your farmer. Know that those animals are well taken care of, that aren't sick. If it's a farm that you can go visit, that you can actually see these animals, even better. But it's not a one size fits all. Raw milk isn't for everybody. Even drinking milk isn't for everybody. Just like tea or coffee, whatever. But as someone who does enjoy raw milk, I'm not going to pressure somebody into drinking raw milk or only drinking raw milk. You do what you want. However, if you are looking at raw milk, you understand the benefits. You see that it can help. It can help kids with allergies. It can help asthma. It can help hay fever. Like there's potential. There's evidence, white papers. Some people don't believe in science. I'm one that does still. In evidence, basically. I check the data. I look for more and more I will change my mind at times. Just know why you are doing it and the reason you are doing it. Why you are seeking out raw milk. If you're just doing it because it's popular and somebody told you, there's some people that do that. Some people say that they want sourdough just because somebody told them that it's better for them. Like, why? Do you only want it because somebody told it it's better for you? Do you like the taste? Do you enjoy it? We love the taste of our raw milk, of the fresh cheese that Nicole makes. So make smart choices. That's what we're all about. People can take me out of context, probably a lot of the stuff that I've said here today. But the reality is make smart choices. Do the best for your family. That's what we're all trying to do, is to understand all of these things, make the best educated choice, not because Ben told you so, not because somebody on the internet told you so, not because you were convinced by some single article that said that raw milk is dangerous. I've seen that a lot. Raw milk is needlessly dangerous. It's also got benefits. And as long as you are aware of the potential hazards and you want to go ahead, go for it. I think raw milk is definitely better for you. We use raw milk in our soap products because it can help with your skin, can help with certain ailments like they mentioned, like the article mentioned, the eczema. Helps a lot of people with psoriasis as well. But raw milk is not scary. Don't be scared of raw milk.